Good evening, guys. How are you? I'm just getting back in from hunting. I'm tired. Been working today. Um, guys, that I wanted to give a word to the guys that if you want to go to bigger hunts and you feel misfortunate, and you got to set a goal to go there. Um, you've got to be able to make a plan, and I haven't been able to go to them lately. Doing it by myself is very very difficult sometimes because it seems like no matter what, life's a challenge. Income's been a big challenge because I'm growing businesses, and when you're doing that, you don't have a lot of extra income or extra money to go spend on different things. But no matter what anyone's situation is, you guys can still have good dogs. You can still make good hunts, and you can always work up to that. Today you may not be able to compete at a professional level, but someday you can. I don't believe that anybody's too misfortunate to do that. Everything's a work in progress. Um, we talked about the poor man, or people calling themselves poor men. Um, I've just never looked at myself as being poor. My first dog was a half Trend Walker, half Bulldog that was given to me by a guy named Ted. And Ted was a rooster man. And he had a bulldog that game bulldog that he used as a chicken dog, and it bred one of his Trend Walker females, and that's where Ted come from. That later he gave me one of them pups, and he was like a red bone, sort of. He didn't have just the longest ears, but I made a pretty good dog out of him. Dog that treats squirrels and treat some coons. And man, I'd go hunting with guys that had pure hounds, and I just dreamed and wanted a purebred hound. I always wanted to upgrade, and I couldn't afford nothing like that. And but I made that dog a pretty good dog, and I ended up. I traded him for a purebred hound, a female dog, and then I took that female and I bred her to a guy that had a pretty good dog not far from us, and I ended up with a puppy that made a really good dog. But I made a good dog out of each one of those I had. But and my first really really good dog out of really good bred dog. I always wanted more and always wanted more, and but I didn't have any money, but I always figured out a way of earning it. I hunted my first really good dog. I hunted two dogs, and I'd hunted them for Cole McAllister, and he was gonna pick the pick of the two, and I was going to get the other one for starting them. And so I made a deal like that, and I was able to get a really good bred dog. And that ended up becoming my Gold Creek Rambo dog. And that dog really, really did well for me and really put me on the map as far as competition hunting and dog training. But he was my first really good bred dog. But I found a way of getting that really good bred dog. I think the prices, that he was asking for them pups were pretty. There's no way I could have done it, but I found a way to doing it. I've always, no matter what, found a way of doing something and upgrading myself consistently. With these hounds or anything else, we start at a lower level. And we just do, especially if we don't have the financial capabilities. But there's no reason to not to be able to start a hound, grow it up, and be able to sell that hound and make a good enough profit that you can buy any one of them that you want. Our work, if we put in the right work, we can turn them into the type of money we need to buy the right type of pup we need, or however. But just because they're a real good bred don't mean that they're the perfect pup either, or the perfect dog. Don't hunt dogs without really good mouths. You'll put a lot of time into them, and then the value of them, isn't a whole lot, later on. Pick a really good dog out of real good dogs and find a way of earning them. I think most people, if you raised a dog for a dog, they would work that out with you. If you did something for someone else, they'd make sure you got a top of the line. People who it amazes me that some people can't never figure out a way of changing their situation any. And effort don't play a part of it. But guys, you can figure out the way you can do it. You can be a champion. You've got to figure out how those steps, just like training a dog, the steps we got to take to get there. Because to me, there is no difference in anyone. There's more fortunate and then there's less fortunate. And I've always rooted for the underdog. And I like the guys that work hard out in the field and go to these hunts and win them. I really like that. And the guys can do it. I'll make comments about people that say stuff that, that the higher, people with money is running for the poor ones. They haven't. They just made it to where we can, a misfortunate person or a person that really hasn't made it just yet, they can train a dog and sell it for a pretty good value and put themselves on the map. You just got to manage your money well, and you got to just keep building from there. But it's possible these days. I see everything as an opportunity. I don't see things as a tearing it down or tearing it up like something's destructive. Man, this world's changing. It's constantly improving. You got to see it as improvement. If you don't, you're going to see it as it's not improving, and that's going to be very that's a negative thought. That's going to be depressing, and there's no gaining in being depressed. So we've got to watch how we look at things. Man, poor's depressing. I know around me, people all say they're poor, but it's just so they don't have to loan you money usually. And but there are some people that don't have as much, but I still like to see them win and see them do good. But we can figure out a way of doing that. If there's any way I can ever help anybody, I will.